pirate. The other's crazy. So you better warp. Warp to the safe spot!
Welcome back, Capsuleer. Let's go.
Warp to the safe spot! Warp to the safe spot!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Safe Spot. And I am your host, Rixx Javix, and with me tonight, as always, is...
Crazy Canucks. Good to be back. Very excited about today's show, and it feels as though the last time we recorded was ages ago. As some of you may know, I'm in Montreal, Canada, so big Habs fan, the Montreal Canadiens, and we just had a fantastic Stanley Cup series. Lots of
awesome
emotions, and that took a lot of my time over the last 2-3 weeks. So I'm just, even though sad that we're not going to move on to the finals.
It was a nice run, though.
Yeah, exactly. So very proud of the
nothing
boys.
to be...
So I'm just glad to be back and to have this discussion with you and to, having our guest today.
We thought it was time to start bringing some other people in. We were tired of talking to each other all the time. And
I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of ran out of things to talk about. Not really, but yeah. So we're happy to have as our first guest on the safe spot as Oz, kind enough to join us, and we're going to have a conversation with him right now, coming up. Oz, I'm not sure if we've met in real life or not. I can't remember. I thought we did last Fanfest.
I thought so.
Sure.
Yeah.
With me, point. I don't know. You know David. David, we call him Crazy Canucks in Eve. Dave Perry, one of the original bloggers of Eve.
Hello.
He took a 15-year hiatus. He's recently returned. You are our first official guest. We're going to be doing guest interviews going forward, so you're our first one.
Amazing. Thank you.
Whether that's an honorary thing or a worrisome thing, I don't know. I'll leave it up to you. So.
And it's not because we asked a bunch of people first and they all said no. And you finally,
yes. You did a fantastic job at FanFest. Sadly, I wasn't able to be there this year, but you and everyone else there did a fantastic job. So kudos to you guys. We should have saved some of that for. I might have to suck up to you some more once we start. So.
Yeah, no worries.
Welcome to our guest, our first guest to the Safe Spot. You all know him, you all love him, and well, I don't know if you love him or not, but you might like him at least. His name is the Oz, and welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. And David, would you like to say something at all?
Well, I'm just super stoked to have the Eve market guru. Hopefully, we'll learn a couple of things. I've been watching your content for the last few weeks, actually before FanFest. So very happy to be here as our first guest. I've actually used your creator code today. I went ahead and upon your sound advice, hopefully we'll see, purchased that level 2 bundle.
Amazing. Thank you.
We'll see.
Oh, nice.
It's a good deal.
Awesome.
It's a good deal.
It is. There's a bunch of things I haven't I'm looking at the list here in the, I was going to say CC. It still says CCP actually in the email that we get when we make the purchase, but the FC description, and there's a bunch of things in there. So all goodies. So fantastic. So thanks for the tip, and thanks for the tip actually on biology training that. So I went ahead, did some research, and went, dude, why did not, weren't you not trained to level 5, which I've skewed my skill for that. So thank you for that again. So super happy to be here. I'm going to stop talking because I'm going to sound like an idiot not too long. And welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, biology 5 is important.
Yeah. So, our last podcast 2 weeks ago, we talked about our reactions to FanFest and all the things that CCP brought to the table. And I know you and the others, LaRue and Ernst and all those guys did a fantastic job emceeing. So how was, since we haven't had a chance to talk to you, what are your thoughts about the recent FanFest?
So it was, I think my fourth FanFest overall, my second one hosting it on Twitch. And overall, I must say it's getting more and more professional every year. That's clear. Even going back to Harper now, but I don't know if you guys got to see online or through some of the streams out there the setup that we had. I mean, there were we had 4K cameras pointed at us. They had close-ups on the face on each host, and then you had the whole stage behind us. The production backstage, I've been able to compare it to previous years. It's just, I mean, they're spending a lot of time and money on FanFest, which is amazing to see. And every year I have more and more fun. And to me, FanFest is, some of the best days of the year because it's so cool to see everyone so excited about the game, to see people that I only get to see once a year, to meet new people that every now and then recognize me, and I can, have discussions with them and with people that I usually just know from Twitch chat or from YouTube comments or my Discord channel. So overall, it's just it's amazing, and to be able to be part of something like this is just truly amazing.
I mean, it is, and how I always wondered, like, how is that experience? Sometimes going to FanFest, I have a lot to do, and sometimes going to FanFest, I have hardly anything to do. Those are two completely different experiences for me. Having been, gosh, I don't know, 10 times or whatever it is now. But how is that for you, being on the other side of the camera like that? Does that change the experience of FanFest for you significantly or not?
Yeah, so I don't know. I've never had a FanFest where I didn't have an official part. So I've never just been able to go and hang out and drink, which I really miss.
Right,
I would
right.
love to do that sometime, right? But
That's a big part of FanFest.
It is.
It is, and I've. This was the second time I was on the main stage presenting, as a player presenter, and actually that's more nerve-wracking than hosting it on Twitch, because hosting it on Twitch is what I do every day anyway. That's like going, just second nature. But on the main stage with a few hundred people there, up to 1,000 people there live, and that there's 8,000, 10,000, and this year up to 16,000 watching live on Twitch.
Right. Oh man,
you want to
Very different.
Yeah, you want to do a good job, right? You want to do a good job, and so it's not like if I'm on the main stage at 10 or 11 a.m., it's not like I'm going to go out partying the night before, which I'm very, thanks to Loru, he sent me home at midnight from Lebowski's. He was like, you gotta, I told him early, I was like, hey, I gotta go to bed early. I can't hang out. And at midnight, he was like, dude, like, it's time to go. I was like, thank you, man. Thank you. And I got
awesome.
8 hours of sleep and had a good day. So, this time around, I was hosting 4 to 5 hours, and then I was on the main stage. In between, we had, the media talks, the interviews that you do if you're a CSM or you're a presenter or a partner anyway. Mm-hmm. And then we had like impromptu stuff, like the Lava Cave movie that we made with Damien Warlock, and and then this time around, CCP Monty, or FC Monty now, he's new on board. He has this whole vision for the partner program and the creator scene, and he's just taking it very seriously. And you could tell, like, he just has a lot of ideas. And so we were there at work essentially, which it is. So in case you didn't see this year, Swift confirmed this. I'm allowed to talk about it now. So it was the first year where the presenters actually got paid. So
nice.
This was an actual job, an engagement, and so I appreciate them doing that, because it feels bad if you can't go out and party and do all these things when you're not getting paid for it.
Right.
Now at least, like, you say, okay, they flew us out there, they paid us for the job, and then it's good. It's okay for us to just be.
Yeah.
I was going to say, to your point, it shows that the professional level that it's reached and how they're handling all of that, and kudos for them for doing that, and kudos and congrats to that nervousness certainly didn't come through, and you guys did a fantastic job, and no pun intended, but you weren't in your safe spot, back home doing the Twitch thing. You're on stage, you're in front of those 16,000 listeners on the Twitch channel. And it was, it didn't seem, none of it seemed like you were trying to fill air. There was always something very interesting that you guys were talking about and reflecting on and what was coming up. So very, very impressed.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a good crew. I mean, we had 4 very different people doing the hosting, which was on purpose, right? And unfortunately, we didn't mix. Fortunately and unfortunately, we didn't mix. So it was the same team the entire time. So we had the more reserved German speaking team with Ernst and me, and then we had the crazier team with Loru and Tox. But overall, those are. All 4 of us are used to just streaming and entertaining people for 10-15 minutes is something that we do anyway. So that was fun.
I think it's also.
Speaking of which,
go ahead.
No. Sorry. Enough of me interrupting you, Rixx.
Oh, it's okay. I just think in general, I was very happy to see, and it's been an evolution. I've been, an Eve partner since 2010, so almost 20 years now, and it's been nice to see, and I'm glad to hear that they were compensating those, you guys, because I think it's been nice to see the professionalism eke into that world too, where they're starting to treat the creator environment a lot more seriously than they used to. It's nice to see that, and that's bespoke too about how they finally got around to doing creator awards, and I thought that went really well too. So it's just nice to see that.
Yeah, the appreciation is it's next level now. It is, and it's the creator awards. Them doing, it's not only the creator awards, it's also creator keys, creator codes to support the community, and they're really, really trying to give some people the chance to go full time and to make a living out of it. And we, the creator community, we pay it back with reach and new players that are joining for it. And so, like, I absolutely feel like, out of the 4 that were there, I was the only one that's not a full-time streamer because I'm old, and I mean the others are all, they're taking their time away from their content and their families, at least some of them, and flying to Iceland and doing a really good job. And of course it should be paid. It should have always been paid, right? But in the past, it just wasn't. It was just not there yet.
No.
I guess as much as the level of professionalism with how FC organizes the Fanfest, there's also been, from my point of view as an early day blogger back in 2005 through 2011, the level of professionalism of the community, and within the community, you've got these individuals, you being one of them, that have really upped the game in terms of the content that these Eve creators put out. So it's sort of a natural evolution, I'm assuming. But it should have been something that was done earlier. But we can't be disappointed that it's finally here, right?
No, it's a lot of that has to do with FC Monty now, like him taking on that role and that appreciate. Like, he came in and basically said, "No, we got to make the partnership program better. We got to appreciate the creators more. We got to get them to FanFest." And so the fact now that partners get FanFest tickets, for example, or that there's a partner lounge at the FanFest, which I basically didn't get to see because I was working the entire time, but I heard it was
Too
cool.
busy.
Yeah, and so that gave a lot of people the chance to network as well. So I got to network with a lot of the other partners and exchange ideas and think about new formats and new content and exchange what works, what doesn't work. And that used to be only reserved for people that were really, really well connected. Like, well, to be honest, like me, because I'm on the CSM, I get to talk to FC all the time anyway, and to other partners more than others do. And so, now I think it's more democratized that everyone gets a chance to network, go to FanFest, and get some of that payback for the work that a lot of good content creators for EVE Online do.
Yeah, it's been quite a, it's old Eve was a lot different, and it was just not so much. The company was a smaller company. CCP was a smaller company, and there were a lot of niches in that company, and they've learned and hired and, brought on more people who are, also professionals too. I think that, all of us have come a long way in those years. So it's good to see that it's being recognized.
And the Pearl
Absolutely.
Abyss taking over, it was a big step into that direction, right? Because they all of a sudden they were part of a very large international corporation, and
Right.
even though they kept a lot of that company culture that they had before. So if you go to CCP offices now, I don't think the difference is that huge, other than gaming overall has evolved and most gaming companies have evolved. A lot of this, you know, what is expected of a game nowadays, what do you have to do in terms of monetization, in terms of inclusion of your creator community, all of that stuff also came because clearly now they were a lot more interlinked with an international gaming company.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
So Rixx, I don't know if you've got a list of questions for our guest, but I know that we could talk about FanFest and Francis for a lot more today. I want to dive into our guest, learn a little bit
Yeah.
more about how you got into the game, Oz, how you got into the markets. Where does that come from? Does that come from some your professional background or education and whatnot? And what keeps you fascinated by the game?
Yeah, so I'm a very early EVE player. 2004 is my first character. I was just out of college. I came from games like EverQuest, so early MMOs. Loved them, and back then, we didn't have that many MMOs coming out. As I'm going to assume you guys remember because you're more my age group, I think. So EVE Online came out. I immediately thought I got to try it because I liked sci-fi, I liked MMOs, and I had a business background. I was a stockbroker at the time, and I immediately went in and started creating spreadsheets, regional trading, price comparisons, especially, et cetera, et cetera. And so for me, from day one, I came in. I didn't really do a lot of other stuff in EVE Online. Immediately, I jumped in. I was like, "This is a cool economic simulator. I can get an edge by creating a better spreadsheet than others." And that's what I did in the beginning. Was basically find a way to aggregate information as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible, and then make money in game. Because to me, uh, seeing that number tick up was my dopamine hit in that. But I played EverQuest that way. I played WoW that way. I was always someone who just maximized gold. Like in EverQuest, I just stand in the tunnel and trade, and in WoW, I maxed out gold because I did auction house much more than other stuff. And so it was basically a no-brainer. And then I left the game several times, as we all do. I think my longest hiatus was something like 10 years. Just before the pandemic, I had my first daughter. Then we had the pandemic hit, and I found Twitch, and I basically found EVE Online and Twitch at the same time again, and then also had parental leave, and then I started just streaming in the evenings. Started streaming the content that I do now, which is essentially analyzing the economy and giving out advice for traders. And I didn't know that was going to work, of course, but it very quickly the channel grew, and it then I had more and more viewers, and nowadays I think I have a niche topic and a niche game, but it's enough to gather a couple of hundred people around Twitch every week, and then apparently win a creator award for best podcast, which is really cool.
Yeah,
Hey,
very cool.
There you go.
I think it speaks so much to the nature of EVE Online that you can do that. That this is a world that I have very little interest in, and I'm just going to be honest. That's just not why I play the game, and yet there's a whole other side of this, or multiple other sides of this game, where you can talk to somebody and they play for a completely different reason than you do, one that you wouldn't even think about, and that there's a whole audience for it. That's how big this universe is, that it contains multitudes, right? I think it's just fascinating that EVE works like that.
Yeah, and as I said on the main stage at FanFest, for me, it's the main draw to EVE Online is the cutthroat, unregulated market environment that is second to none, and the complex player-run economy also second to none. I know people throw around Albion Online every once in a while, and
Right, I've
maybe
heard that too. Yeah.
one or two come close. But honestly, I mean, for 23 years, this game has had an incredible player run economy. And the fact that sometimes the player base can complain about this and can complain about that. And it's like that in every game, I think.
Sure,
But
sure.
even here, people say, oh, it's not really player run, it's not really all that cutthroat. But there's no other game that comes close. So for me, it's the ultimate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
it's
mean, haven't we had like actual economists on staff, several
Yeah.
times over
Yeah.
the history of this? I mean, that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And now like they take the economic side very, very seriously. And for people that wonder, like on the CSM, for example, like I have a lot of meetings with FC all the time where we talk about anything from the monetization aspect to different bottlenecks in the economy and ISK's faucet and ISK things. And it's it's the fact that we have a CSM, and then within a CSM, I can get elected as an economic expert in the game, and then support FC in creating this or making this wonderful game even better is just, I mean, it's like a dream come true.
Yeah, that's kind of insane, really. But it's
Yeah.
amazing. Sorry, crazy. Ask another question.
No, it's okay. That's okay. And yes, it's a very different MMO than what's out there. Because I remember right before getting into EVE Online, I don't know if you guys remember this game, Earth and Beyond. I think it came out from
Yeah.
EA.
Oh, yeah.
And how different their approach to a space-based MMO was, and how rather quickly that game died and EVE evolved into what it's become. And to your point, Rixx, it's fascinating how, because of those 23 years of development, we're looking at the same, different players looking at the same game, speaking of the same game, will have very different descriptive in how they approach the game, what the game is about, what the goal of, or some of the goals of the game is, to someone
Well, yeah,
like
or
you,
what they
Oz,
find
Mark.
interesting about it, right? I mean,
Exactly.
I've talked to people who do the weirdest things. They spend their entire career doing this really specific thing that just doesn't make any sense to me, but yet they just really, really enjoy it. And I think that's just great. I love that, and I support that, but I find it fascinating. It's endlessly fascinating, really. It's crazy that it's a video game that can do that. What's that saying? It's like 14 different games in a trench coat or something, but it's not. It's absolutely true.
Definitely. So what was the between, you mentioned, Oz, that you were out of the game for about a decade. What was was there a big difference in how you played or approached the game in your, in that first portion of your EVE Online or New Eden career to when you started playing the game again, streaming and whatnot, or had it sort of evolved into something that felt natural for you?
There was zero difference in how I approached the game in the first, like, there's like, this is just how I play the game. And I came back and I basically looked at my old spreadsheets, but now we had, we had Google Sheets and APIs, and like I came back and the tools at my disposal. And I mean, remember, this was pre-AI, right? So
Right.
no vibe coding or anything, but this was the difference between early EVE APIs and then coming back in like 6 or 7 years ago to very effective third-party tools, very flexible APIs that you could hit with JSON and easily get data into Google Sheets and Excel. And then so for me it was more like, oh, okay, so same game, but now I can be even better at it because of the technical and data aggregation side. So let me see what I can do. Oh, I can do a lot of shit. And then there's this Twitch stuff. So now I can actually show people, because I don't need money in this game. Because that's always been the thing, right? Like, if you play this game to see the number tick up, then you never want for ISK, right? And so for me,
Right.
like I saw the content creation side as something like, oh, like it's a whole new game that I can play, and I can just win by showing people how to make ISK, and then winning the game all over through them, and that was my next level. So for the last 6 or 7 years, like I wouldn't say that I've been playing the game differently. It's just that I've been approaching it much more now from a creator perspective and from a CSM perspective. So I think about this game now much more in terms of how do we ensure the economic health of EVE Online for the next 10 or 20 years, because that's what I didn't think about in the beginning, but that's what I think about now.
Well, give me a second, just because that brings up something else that's changed too, as far as we were talking about the evolution of how they treat creators, but also the evolution of how they've given players access to that data through the ESI and the API. I mean, so that has evolved too. That has to make your job a lot easier. And I know it does a lot of third-party people who are creating apps or whatever, tying into that or connecting to that data is vital.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Like when I started streaming 6 years ago, I created a Google Sheet that I called the community sheet that I gave to everyone. So it's a sheet where I basically, it works with Jeeves assets, and you just copy your account stuff, your orders and your journal into the sheet, and it calculates your profits, your most profitable items. It looks at each item and tells you what to buy and what to sell. And at that time, that is what helped me get popular in the EVE community, because there was nothing like
There was
it
nothing
that was
else like
publicly
it, right?
available. Yeah,
Right.
like some people were able to make their own, but they weren't sharing because they wanted to make money. And I didn't want to make money anymore. I just wanted to share. So that's what helped me get out there. Nowadays, with AI and vibe coding, it's much, much, much easier to create these sheets. So nowadays, I think I would have a tougher time taking that path to notoriety in the EVE
Right.
community.
Right.
But it's interesting to see now, because you look at Reddit and there's new tools coming out every single day, right? There's 3 new market tools coming out every day, and you don't even, some of them look good, some of them don't work, some of them are scams, and it's very much a different world out there nowadays.
Yeah, I mean the explosion of third-party tools, that's come about because of vibe coding and things is just insane.
Yeah.
It has exploded.
And the fact that all this information is available for users to create these tools. It's funny how you went from playing the game per se to seeing yourself more as a contributor to the community, and that aspect of it, I guess, is part of where you get your kicks and where you get your reward.
For sure. I mean, that's why I play this game now as part of the community. And before I started streaming, I played this game basically solo, right? I did market PvP, but I was never in a corp. I was not in an alliance. I didn't do any of that. I didn't even watch any YouTube videos before I started creating content myself. And for the past 6 years, that is a whole new dimension for me, because I've gotten to know the EVE community. I go to Fanfest, I stream on Twitch, I talk to so many people every single day about EVE. And so for me, it's kind of, I've rediscovered the game that a lot of people, or I've discovered the game that a lot of people were already playing for 10 years in a very, very different light. Not because I was doing different stuff, but because I was actually taking part of the community now.
Right.
Yeah. Seeing it from a different perspective. No, it's one thought leads to another. So, coming back to you as a contributor, what sort of pathways to understanding the EVE markets and playing, quote unquote, that game, would you tell either a new player or a player that's been doing a bunch of other things than playing the market and maximizing value and ISK through the market? What ways can they sort of get into that?
I think there are two. There's probably a million, but there's 2 clear ways of why people play the market. One is you just want to make some ISK on the side. I think that's what a lot of people want to do. They create a JITA alt, they want to trade on the side, they create 100 buy orders and they fulfill, and then they create 100 sell orders, and at some point they also fulfill and they made a little margin and they made some money and they feel good about it. I did that for a long time, of course, and a lot of us have. You burn out very quickly on that. Like, it becomes a tedious job, just like anything else in the game that is PVE grindy, like PI or something, for example,
Yeah.
Right.
or
More short
ratting. Like,
than
it's
anything.
it's solved. It's yes, you make some money, and you can definitely make a lot of money, and you make even more money if you have a lot of capital to invest, but it's not really going to keep you engaged for a long time because it's not sustainable, I think. To me at least, I have burned out on it so many times every time I've tried. And then there's people that are trading because they're interested in the economic aspect of EVE, because they want to understand how it works. They want to understand the flows, and they're much more interested in the intelligence behind it. Like, okay, why is this going up? Why is this going down? Why is this patch having this impact? Why do wars have this impact? And what can I do with this insider information that I got from this person? And that's to me the much more sustainable way to trade, because it's, I think, grindy, it's more interesting, and it's what makes EVE very special. You can grind in any game. If you want to grind, there's a million MMOs you can play. And
Yes.
and some people like that, and that's fine. But to me, it's that second aspect of, oh, I want to understand, there's a new ship coming out. What is this going to do to the market? I want to speculate with others what kind of impact the next large battle is going to have on
This will have.
the
Yeah.
economy. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I found that the people who, and you can do it. You can grind in any part of the game, but it's very hard to sustain that. I often tell people who I care about in the game, be careful what you're doing, because you're going to burn out. Sometimes they tell me, mind your own business, and then 3 months later they're gone. They're not part of the game
Yeah.
anymore. I've seen it so many times. And I think
see-
the thing that comes is when it elevates beyond that, right? And there's a story attached to it, or a reason, or understanding of a subject, whatever it happens to be, and that's when it becomes more interesting and more long form, sustaining.
I have a very large trading Discord, right? So people that are interested in trading, at some point, most of them, the new players, I guess, if they're lucky, they end up in our community of like-minded traders. And
Right.
I have some rules on my Discord, and the community is very good about keeping the rules, because in the beginning, what we had was a new bro logs on to the Discord. He's like, "Hey, I'm excited. I want to trade like Oz does. This is cool." And then people in EVE, especially on Reddit, they tend to go, "Oh, like, don't do this, don't do that, do this." And also, if you don't have a 100 billion, like, don't even start. If you're not multi-boxing, don't even start. And
Right.
that just kills this community, and it kills new
Absolutely.
bros. And it's like that's why I always tell in our Discord, people are actually very, like, I have a few mentors that are very good about this, is to say, you cannot, that first group that I was talking about that comes in and finds out, ooh, I can place 100 buy orders and 100 sell orders, and then I can make a little bit of margin, and it's exciting. That is exciting, and it's important that they find out for themselves, like, that it's going to make you a little bit of money. It's not going to make you crazy rich, but it's going to make you a little bit of money. And they also need to experience the burnout at
Right.
least a little bit, because it's something that you can't tell people. And it's no fun at all if you come into a new game and veterans tell you, "Oh, you're stupid for doing this, you're stupid for
Right.
doing that,"
Right.
which EVE is always at the danger of happening because of our bitter vet community. And so,
Yeah.
like, I think
Yeah.
it's so important that new traders come in and they try new things, and then they burn out a little bit, and then we can sit together, and then we can say, "Okay, all right, and now what do you want to do?" Because, like, now you've experienced what a lot of us went through the first year.
And that's a universal thing to Oz. You could replace trading with PvP. You could replace trading with anything else. It's wormholes, mining, PvE, running missions, whatever you wanted to replace it with. And that truth is, it is so hard. I run into this. I just had this conversation today, as a matter of fact, with a new player who was in trouble and asked me to help him. And I told him, I said, don't listen to anybody on Reddit or in the Discord. Find yourself a corporation that's willing to talk to you or talk to me, and I will help you, because you've got to find your own way. It's got to be something that you do. You can't just pick up a fit from somebody and expect it to happen. And that's where you get into these things where, and I don't know if there's a comparable thing that happens, but in my world of PvP, people will join and use their credit cards, to skip that process sometimes. And they're a week or 2 weeks into the game and they're already flying a T3, strategic cruiser or something.
Oh, geez,
and it's just a complete waste of their money. I'm sure you find something like that comparable in that trading industry too, because they can just buy their way to something.
Oh yeah, and my favorite PvE thing to do in EVE Online is Abyssal Space. I just love that. I love the time pressure, and I don't play enough to have everything solved. So for me, it's actually challenging. And I know that people have an issue with it being instance, and I do have that issue as well. I wish it wasn't, but just for content, like, hey, I come home from work and I have 30 minutes. Like, what can I do? Like, there's very few things that you can do in EVE Online. Trading is one of them, but Abyssal is the other. If you want to fly some ships, and you go out on Reddit and you go on YouTube, and it's full of just 400 mil per hour, like dual boxing T3Ds or whatever. And the first thing I always tell people is like, look, I've been playing this game for a long time. I'm certainly not the best at flying spaceships, as people know from my history, but I'm also not the worst. I've done a lot of other stuff in EVE Online, and if I look at my Abyssal history, I'm probably ISK negative, because at some point I lost the very expensive ships, right? And people think that every creator and every player and every veteran out there is like this god at the game, because those are the handful of people that either put highlights on YouTube or that go on Reddit and say stupid stuff like, oh, this is how you run tier 6s and it's easy and it's solved. And like, it's not easy.
Oh, I really hate that ISK per hour mentality.
Totally.
Here's how you make 5 billion ISK an hour. And it's just,
because that sounds it sounds more like a job than something, you'd enjoy doing.
Yeah, it's supposed to be fun, right? I mean, entertaining.
Exactly.
Yeah, if it's not fun, you shouldn't be doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm taking notes here. So following you on Twitch and YouTube, your Discord channel. So getting into that, and we'll put the links to all of these in the show notes. But any tools, anything that you'd recommend, websites to sort of dive into to understand for someone getting into that aspect of the game?
Yeah, a million, man. So
let's start with one.
Let's start with one, and that is I do have my own website, is theoz.space, and what I put on there is my personal dashboard that I use to look at to evaluate the EVE market in the morning. It's like a Bloomberg terminal for New Eden,
Nice.
and it's the top 10 items going up, going down, the top 10 most traded items, the top 10 most traded items compared to yearly average, the top 10 most undersupplied items right now that are in danger of running out, the most oversupplied items, the most underpriced items, the most overpriced items. So it's like you go in there and you feel like, okay, I can talk about it. And obviously this is important for me because I have a podcast that talks about the weekly happenings, so I need to know what's going on. But it's also, I think it's very good, a good tool to understand the EVE economy, because by looking at that every day or every other day or so, you get a pretty good idea of what's happening right now. Like, okay, what event items are going crazy right now because everyone's buying them or everyone's selling them. And so I like that. So, it's just advertising for my own page, the Space. But in terms of my favorite website over the past 5-6 years or so has always been adam4eve.eu. Don't go to .com. Now everyone's going to do it, I know, but don't go to .com. Go to adam4eve.eu. .com gives you something else.
Completely different experience.
You've
completely
been
different
warned.
experience.
Yeah, because I've done it. I've done it. Yeah,
Yeah, it happens because
does.
but like adamforeve.eu, like by now I've talked to the creator a lot, and we've been exchanging ideas for a long time, and he's been implementing some of the requests that I made for his tools. But that's a collection of tools that is a dream come true for somebody that plays EVE Online like me, like from an economic perspective. Like there's been so many times where I've created my own spreadsheets and I'd be like, yeah, this is exactly what I wanted. And then 5 days later, I find out he's been doing this for 10 years on his website, like that is adamforeve.eu in a nutshell. And
Got it.
it's in maintenance mode. So it's there's a dev environment that he works on every once in a while, but most of the stuff still works. So every once in a while, it's some stuff is broken, but I am still a huge fan, so I recommend that all the time. Then recently, I've been working with Eve Guru. Eve Guru is I think the hurdle is bigger because it's a downloadable program. But what Eve Guru does is basically you log in with your character, it downloads all market and industry information, and then it basically tells you what to produce and how much money you're going to make. And it's like Eve Guru is almost, it's almost broken because it does take away a lot of the things that I used to do with a lot of work and spreadsheets. And
Right.
it's, I've seen quite a bit of hate for it as well, because it's like, like it's basically taken the fun out of the exploration of industry. But honestly, the information is out there, so somebody's going to use it effectively, and at least it's democratizing it. So, if you want to try Eve Guru, it's free for a month. It's pretty cool. I've had the creator on my show a few times, and he also was in the Builders Village now at Fanfest. It's a good team. I've been working with them, and their tool is insanely good. It's really good.
So this would be for the serious trader trying to maximize what they do, I guess, right?
Yeah, they so the first month is free, and then they take like an ISK fee per month, right? Which like is going to be a big investment for some people. So it's like you can't just set and forget, because you're going to be paying for it. So you got to make more money than you're paying for it. For example, I did an alpha challenge where I took just like a fresh alpha account, 3 alpha characters, put them in Jita, Amara, and Dodixie, and just traded with alpha fees and alpha orders. So that means that like you have nothing, right? Like
right.
you have like a handful of orders, and you're paying 10% tax on everything. And even with that, I tripled the amount I would have paid for that tool. So it's controversial, and it's some people also say it's expensive. That's obviously in the eye of the beholder, but it's definitely if you want to use that from day one, you can. It's not necessarily an expert tool.
Okay.
I put some guides out there for people to understand how to use it as well. So it's pretty good, and you need to at least know it exists, because that's your competition that you're up against if you're trading and if you're in industry. Yeah, so I think those are my favorite now. But there's so many new market browser. Like it feels like every week there's a new market browser. I like the look of isk.gg. That's a new tool that the guy posted on Reddit like a few months ago. I really like the look of it, and there's some it's a cool name too. And I really enjoy that market browser, because it's got a very stock market look about it, and if you like graphs and stats, then you're probably going to like that one.
There's the whole slew of things to check out.
Yeah, I have on the Oz.space, I also have a tools page where I always post my favorite tools, so people can go there. And I have tools in there. Like there's a guy in my community, his name is Matthew. A few years ago, he started putting the MER in Power BI. So I don't know if that means anything to you, but yeah. So I analyze the MER like the Bible every month, right? And so I basically to be able to have the data in Power BI and be able to play around with it and look at different
Wow,
trends over
yeah,
different years is
that's
really
amazing.
really good. And so I'll that's also on my tools page. So.
Yeah, my wife works in with SharePoint, and, Google AI, and all that, and yeah, so I'm familiar with that tool. That's pretty amazing. Yeah,
And then of course like Eve Cookbook. I mean, Eve Cookbook is my favorite like industry tool to see. You put a blueprint in and it tells you sorted by ISK value or any other way you want to sort what the ingredients are for a ship, and you can
right.
immediately see what the production cost is, what the material cost is, depending on which structure and system you produce in. So that's very
That's
cool as
amazing.
well.
Thank
So
you.
cool.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's
for that
awesome.
list. That is awesome.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions there, Crazy?
I do, but I mean, I'm going to let you ask a couple. Maybe something to do with factional warfare and what's coming up with.
Ooh,
Yeah. Are there any?
I
Are
don't
there any
know.
CSM secrets you could tell us? It's coming.
Well, I mean, most of it is out of the bag, right? I mean, we saw
it's true.
FanFest. I mean, I like FanFest because then I can finally talk about the things that we've been
right. And
hearing for the last 6 months.
And if I'm wrong, this is your last term. You're not running. You can't run again, right?
I can't run again. No, I'm 3 and
So
out.
how's that feel after three in a row? Right? I mean,
three in a
I think
three in a
three in a
row,
row?
which is quite insane. Like
It is.
In one of the years I had the most. I appeared on the most ballots. I was the name on most ballots compared to anyone. So even beating the Goon candidates on the number of ballots to appear on.
Wow.
And this last round, I had the third highest votes overall as an independent candidate. That is, I mean, it feels
That's awesome.
It feels
Yeah.
really amazing.
That's really good.
So thank you for anyone that voted for me. But
Yeah.
I am out, and it feels. Good and bad. So
Right.
I obviously I love being on the CSM. It's fantastic to go to CSM Summit. It's a fantastic week of the year. I love it. But on the other hand, it's a lot of work. So
Right.
I have a corporate job in my day job. I have 2 kids. I create content for EVE Online. I fly to Iceland for FanFest, and I am going to be happy about having a little bit of extra time because I don't have to do CSM anymore. But that is, that's a first world problem because anyone that is on the CSM should be incredibly
But
honored.
it is amazing how quickly this game can consume you, though.
Yeah.
And you don't even notice it sometimes, and you're like, I know I get into that sometimes too. I've got so many projects up in the air and so many things I have to commit to, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, what have I done to myself? So
yeah, and I used to I work for like a mid to large size German company, and I used to not talk about my side gig at my job, right?
right.
But
yes.
like 3 or 4 years ago, when I don't know if you guys saw that I went for EVE Online. I went to Vegas for the Excel World Championships.
Right. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, they used my real name, and they linked me on LinkedIn and everything. So Microsoft did.
You were outed.
Other guys.
Out of the bag.
So I was doxxed, and then obviously my company found out, and they loved it actually. I mean, like that is cool anyway. So when we work in data aggregation, so it's actually good marketing, And so it's not nowadays. It's very much out in the open, and I talk about it a lot. And so my colleagues all know what I do, and some of them play EVE, and new joiners, like in the company, I always tell them that, or they find out very quickly that I'm on Twitch and everything. And so nowadays it's actually a bit easier for me because it's like my family, my work, like everyone knows what I do, and they all know how of a priority I put on EVE Online.
Right.
And that makes it somehow easier because you don't have to hide it, right? You're not like sacrificing sleep all the time.
It is so much easier.
And my wife, it's not like my wife has never played EVE Online. She doesn't want to, like she doesn't play video games. My wife has nothing to do with this world, but she knows, Saturdays I go in my basement studio to stream, and and twice a year I go to Iceland to hang out with nerds. And then, but at least that's, it's very much out on the open, and it's not like something that I have to hide anymore, which is good for my
it's
mental health.
it's not going to bars, right? And hanging out, and getting drunk on a Friday night or something. I always think of it as golf. Eve is like golf.
Yeah,
except you're doing it in your basement or in some
right.
house or your apartment.
Yeah. Virtual golf.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, actually, I mean, like I'm lucky my wife isn't on Twitch, at least as far as I know, because like this weekend in Reykjavik, I actually we live streamed the evenings on like from various bars on Crash Nap stream. So there's a you could follow all of us around Reykjavik in various bars.
It was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome, actually. Yeah.
The streaming world is changing, and IRL nowadays, IRL streaming is a lot easier than it used to be. So all those young streamers running around with their backpacks, and I just tagged along, and it was so it was actually like going around bars and everything, but it was super fun.
Yeah, but it was it was with gamers though, so it's not the same. But yeah. No, that was awesome. I thought that was really a great idea, especially for those who've never been, and it's a good way to show that it's not such a big deal to get over there.
Yeah. I mean, so many people told me afterwards. It was like, hey, thanks for doing the IRL streams. Like it was like we were there with you guys, and it totally had the desired effect, which I thought was awesome. And I watched the stream later. I rewatched some of it, and I do feel like the atmosphere of Fanfest, if you watch the official stream during the day and then some of the IRL streams that some of the nerds do after hours, I mean, it's really cool. Like it is. Like that's what I would do if I weren't there.
Yeah, that's what we did this year. And it really worked really well. The first time I've been able to do that for a decade, because I'm always there. But it worked out really well.
And then you won an award the one time you weren't there.
The one time I don't go, right? That's just the way it goes.
By the way, that's awesome.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate that.
It is what it is.
I've been advocating for some kind of creator award recognition for a very long time, so it was nice to see them do that. I think the community is awesome, and I think people like yourself and others just contribute a tremendous amount to the to this atmosphere, to the environment, to the universe of Eve, and I think it's time that we got some recognition for it. So it's nice to see that happening.
Yeah, and you know what, I told this on my stream, so I think our viewership doesn't overlap too much, so I can tell the story again. But Hilmar, he was sitting behind me during the Creator Awards, and we just before we were at a mixer from the sponsors, the Sui, the blockchain company that was sponsoring a lot of the Fanfest. Like he could have easily stayed there, to have some drinks with his business buddies, but he came down and he, sat with us for the Creator Awards, and he was there the entire time, and then he was on stage later on for the Polaris Awards that you guys got, right? So
do you know how this worked for me, from my perspective, right? I don't know if you've heard this story either, because I had no idea.
I heard it during the episode last, like that you did.
No idea.
Right? Yeah.
And then saw him walk out on stage with Erwin, and I was like, it almost brought me to tears, because I knew exactly what was going to happen all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So it really did just catch me by surprise. So that was kind of nice.
Yeah.
Very nice surprise.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
We appreciate you joining us. You have another question or anything crazy? Because I was going to let him go. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just sort of a question to do just that. So now that this will be your last TSM, and you're going to have a lot more free time. Anything different, anything new that you want to explore within the game that you didn't have the time to, and that you're thinking of doing, or just basically gain a few more hours of sleep a day and a bit more time with the family?
I mean, two things. One, I've been on trading hiatus since I joined the CSM, because I have an NDA, and anything that I find out has market implications, so I just choose not to touch it. Right. So I've been, I think, the most careful CSM in history, which several people have confirmed to me, because I just stopped playing the game that I played before because I couldn't. There's no way that I could do that without putting myself at risk of being banned or worse.
Right.
And so,
This is impossible to get it out of your head.
Conflict of interest
Yeah.
and whatnot. Yeah.
I mean, like what if I do a stupid trade? Like what if I sell 1,000 skill extractors and the next day I find out that I could have known already that they were going up or down, right? I mean, there's like I would have to read every single Slack and Discord message with a developer, and so like I just choose not to risk it. So I just look forward to getting back into trading again a little bit, even though my
Right.
my
Makes
NDA is
sense.
going to be another 5 years from the time I got off the CSM, but at least I won't have as much insider information anymore. So I can
Right.
Current
do a little bit more
information.
stuff.
Yeah.
But then also what I want to do is I want to do more collaborations with other streamers in Eve, because that's what FanFest kind of ignited in me, is that feeling again that, well, there's so many talented and cool and fun people out there that stream Eve Online, and I want to do more different content again, because I've just like I think CCP is supporting us more, FC is supporting us more. We're getting a lot of traction in the community. I think if we work together and we do cool stuff, then we can get over the 1,000 or 2,000 people that we have on Twitch on an average weekend, right? And maybe get some fresh blood in this game, which we
you have to keep challenging yourself, right? I mean, you got to keep pushing the envelope and trying new things and to keep it interesting too.
For sure. So I'm looking forward to what's coming. I've rarely been more excited, honestly. Like, I don't know about this expansion. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, the military campaigns look cool. I'm going to try them. I love the artwork around it. I think it's super cool. I'm going to undock more for sure. Like, it's going to get me to undock, so that's good.
That's awesome.
And so
the risk.
And where in the game would that be? Where would you be undocking? Just kidding.
Don't say anything. Don't say anything.
I'm definitely going Galente, whatever it is.
Okay, all right. That's good.
Yeah. So I'm not so much concerned about short-term content that is coming. I think the overall direction is good. EVE Online has been knocking it out of the park in terms of monetization. Like, I don't know if you guys follow like the reviews I do of the financials, but they're like, EVE Online is doing fantastically well. The only reason that FC posted a 28 million loss is because they're creating 2 more games that are obviously expensive and that need to now work. And so in terms of EVE Online, I'm very positive. I think this game is in a very good shape. I think they can make it successful for years to come. We're going to depend a little bit on the success of Vanguard and Frontier to be able to continue to enjoying EVE Online in the way that we are. And so hopefully at least one of them is a success, so that they can break even or make a little bit of money on the side, because EVE Online is successful.
Yeah, we need Fenris to be economically viable for the foreseeable future, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, and thank you for being our first guest on the podcast. And did you have anything you wanted to say, Crazy, to close this out?
No, I mean, well, a big thank you to you, Oz. It's been fantastic to sort of discuss all of what you've done, how you approach the game, and thank you for sharing those tools. And we'll put the links in the show notes, as I've mentioned before. And looking forward to seeing you more active on Twitch and seeing what you're about to do in the next few months. So, thank you.
Yeah, thanks guys for having me. It was an honor being the first guest, and so much fun coming on a podcast and not having to prepare the show notes myself is fantastic.
That's awesome. It's got to feel good.
Come back anytime.
Love it.
I do that every week. I don't know what I'm doing. So I just go where he tells me, and then things happen, you know.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Cheers. Guys. So I think that was great. We had a really nice conversation there. What did you think?
Well, hopefully I didn't have too many questions. I seem to be bumping into you every time Oz
It's
ended
okay.
an answer. You started talking, and I was like ready with like gunshot my next question. So
I knew. I
I think
knew.
that
I
was
don't.
fantastic.
I think it's great because I knew that you would be super. You'd have all your questions lined up, and ready to go, and I do the opposite. I just wait to. Like what are they talking about, and I just react to that. And I think it's a nice little, back and forth, different styles, right? So I hope it worked out really well. I know everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, looking forward to listening back to our conversation once the show comes out. So,
Yeah.
are we going to do these interviews with community members, Eve creators? Are you thinking we should do this more often? Right?
I think so. I think it's a great format. I think, giving there's not as many podcasts and especially interviewing style podcasts out there as there used to be. Everybody's moved sort of into streaming. So, if you're out there and you think you know somebody that you would like to hear an interview with, or you'd like to have us talk to, feel free to drop us a DM or send us a message, email us or whatever,
Comment
and let us
and-
know. Yeah, comment on in the YouTube channel about who that might be, and we'll give them a buzz.
This was fun. So let's
Yeah,
do this again.
All right,
fly
cool.
safe,
And
everyone.
fly safe. Yeah, and this week's music selection is a little weird. I hope everyone enjoys it. It's a little different than any of the others, and I'm kind of excited about it. It turned out really good. It's based on an old Efoganda post from years and years and years ago, and so I'm excited to premiere that tonight on the channel. So here you go.
Fantastic. Embrace the weirdness.
I was left where the stars don't sing, at the edge of a broken gate. Light stutters like a dying sound, too late to turn, too far to fade. Rixx hang quiet like sensors burned, names erased from steel. I thought faith was a human thing, till I saw something kneel. Not dead, not alive, not receiving, but never, better off, offline. This is true sunshine, still breathing in the wire, hymns in the circus, where they buried the fire. No voice, no eyes, just devotion carved in fear. True sunshine, God is near.
Whole, complete, obedient.
Flesh sutured tight with sacred code, eyes glow borrowed blue. I hailed him once, my voice came back, different, wrong and new. No hatred left, no wrath to spend, just function without pain. A body taught to worship, every signal in the chain. I saw myself in that frame. If choice is removed, what survives the name? This is true Sancho, scripture in his veins. Every order holy, every silence trained. No fear, no will, no just the beauty of control. True Sancho, bless this soul. They said,
Be whole, they said, be clean, they said, you'll never dream again.
they didn't say what it cost to delete the word. I am he stayed there, a saint in rust and bone. Not guarding space, not watching stars, just waiting for the tone. Every jump I feel him hum, a prayer without a mouth, a future where